Okay, so these parts have all been totally drying now, completely welded in, and as you can see, it's been drying overnight. They've gone that nice sort of white colour, as you can see here, and it's given us something really, really completely solid. And hopefully you can see down there, we've got these very nicely filled in now. You can't even see there's any joins down there. Plenty of work down there. By the time it's had a coat of primer, I think you're never ever going to know it's all there. We've got plenty of details to add on there, a few little repairs and everything else. But the back end now, and also the thing is, it feels a lot more solid. We've done exactly the same on here, and I'm going to be slightly honest with you now. I did record another part, but for some reason the overhead camera wasn't working. So it's pretty irrelevant me showing you from a distance exactly what I did. What I actually did was I knocked up some more resin and I made it a little bit with less hardener. So it only had, instead of it being a 50-50 mix, if you like, it was basically 3 parts resin to 1 hardener. Now when you do that, what happens is it's got a slower curing time and everything else like that. It gives you a lot more with it. The only trouble is it does tend to track on and everything else like that. So actually what we've got just over here is the said bit, okay, and as you can see, or hopefully you can see down in here, when you look at it from above, if I just zoom this top camera down as well, you might notice this has got a full coat of resin right the way along here, okay, and what it is that where it's sort of built up, yes, it's got a dark bit, but a bit here, but even in here, this is just clear resin, and it's a lot clearer. Over this side, I've already done the cleanup, which I'll show you in a minute. But because you wait for it to sort of thicken up and go quite thick and gooey, so when you flip it over, okay, we've got these areas we taped up. We've got a little bit of sort of overspills gone down in this area, okay? That's because it's quite runny and it manages to track on okay. Okay, so it's got like a capillary action. Now, if you knock up a 50-50 mix, which is really what you should do, you end up with more like we had here, where you don't really get any bleed through because it's quite gloopy, it doesn't tend to track and all the rest of it, so you get none come really through, so it's pretty easy to go around and tidy up. And that's the different ways of doing it, and it's, you know, you're sort of fors and against. You're like, right, okay, now do we going to go for something that is going to give us great capillary action, going to take a lot longer to go off, so you're going to have to leave it, okay, or do you have something that's a little bit thicker and go through? And that's the difference you can use with resins, where you don't have that sort of luxury so much with fillers, unless you're going to go with sort of, you know, the liquid fillers, the Mr. Surfaces, things like that. But certainly the biggest, you know, thing is, you can see it quite clearly here, is it's a lot more less hassle and cleanup. Now, to be honest, I've already done this one, but I'm going to show you on the other side. Okay, so if we just pop this little guy in here. So what you end up with is something like this. Okay, so you've got the line running down, which is no problem at all. It's a little bit thicker down here, so you've got a couple of ways of doing it. Obviously, you can come in with quite a coarse sanding stick just to start with, okay? And because it's resin, it sands extremely easy. Okay, so we're just going to take this across, okay, and do this all in. Okay, remember, you always tend to use a coarser sanding stick with this, but we're using a sanding stick, not a sponge, so it keeps nice and flat, so it will continue this line on, okay? So we're cutting down through the top, just keeping it nice and flat at the moment. Okay, so this front one's taken in now. Okay, so we're just going near the rear one. Okay, so that one's done really, really nice. Now, the way I tend to do this, if you take a straight edge blade, or as I say, you can use your normal knives and that, what I'm tending to do is I'm putting a little cut, I'm following the line, if you like, of where it actually is, okay? So we're doing this, so putting a little cut down there, a little cut at the top, okay, and then we're just gonna, being resin, we can trim this up. See, we've got a little panel line just in there. And as you can see, you can do a lovely little cleanup job on this with no mass problem at all. Okay, so again, we just keep it nice and flat. We are going to sand obviously all these up. Okay, now we've got a little bit of over there. So this little guy down here, same thing. You could obviously use a razor saw. Okay, and then in. a bit easier if the bottom wasn't sliding all over the place, but you can see what I mean. You can literally come in and cut in, okay, and put more of an edge in. And this is one of the beauties of working with resin over styrene and everything else that goes with it, because you don't have these problems with it on there. So that's that one. And then if you grab your normal scribing, and I think they used a Tamiya P cutter for doing this because the lines are exactly the same as these are. Okay, you can clean out what you had, these original ones. Okay, they're quite deep. Okay, now realistically I should flip this over and do it the other way, so we'll just do this inside one first, but we're just going to carry that panel line, that one there, and then this one here, nice deep panel line all the way through. And then again, it's just a case of, like down here, what we're going to do is just very lightly just going to trim off. And when you've got it round these little blocks and everything, you might be able to see just down here, you can literally just bring your blade up to them and then just nip around them, okay, and flick them off. The other way you can do it is, if I can find it, my little chisels that I've been using, which come in very handy. These are these ones, the chisel set from Trumpeter, okay, and they are lovely and handy for this. They're a little bit sharp, so just be careful how you come around these little areas, but as you might see, these will trim in, okay, and you can just literally work it around the blocks, because they get in between all the resin bits, if you like, as it all goes around there. And then obviously, you know, I can use skinny sticks, but if you haven't got skinny sticks, you can just generally give these a little rub over. And don't forget, you can use them wet. Okay. And then coming on the polishing side, put there. Great, because you can get in between all these shapes. Okay, let's get that here. Okay. You can just gently blend in. It's a little bit coarse there, so we're just going to use a finer sand skinny stick. Okay, and come up. But so I know it's quite difficult for the camera to pick this up, being that we're, you know, the resin's quite clear, but because it's got a self-leveling type of property to it. Here, and this edge. You should end up with something like this. So if I just grab you can then tidy these up, and then what you're going to have to do is pop the panel lines in. But again, beauty with this is, because it's so nicely done, it lends itself, and the resin's easy to scribe over. You should be able to just carry these over and follow on these panel lines, and this will take your eye completely off of it. And the other great thing with this, because we know we've got the strength up behind it, if you want to, you can use some of these vertical lines from the join, turning them into a panel line, which means you'll never see it when we're all together and painted up and everything else like that. But it actually makes this one of the easiest parts of the kit to do, purely because of where it is and everything. And what we can do, anything we've sanded off, we can easily pop back. Okay, just tidy these all up. Just pop that around here. Open up him a little bit more. little guy. And that is it. It is really this easy to work with, which is the lovely thing about it. I know a lot of people get worried about using resin, but it is that thing. It's easy to scribe, it's easy to fill. Okay, just for argument's sake, we're going to pop a panel line in here. So again, it's nice and easy to do, and you won't weaken it because we know we've got a nice good join behind, but this way it'll just add to the depth. And to be honest, this thing's going to be seen more on the underside than it is the top side. So what I'm going to do is going to make a new panel line in here where we've lost it. Okay, I think once this is empty these out again, little ones along here. As I say, the only trouble is the little towers do tend to get in the way of your scribing. Okay, and there we go. And then once, I think if you wet your finger on here, and we just get in here with a brush. If you pull these out, it would be quite hard to spot where it actually was. There we go. No problem at all. So when you're looking at it from your point of view, and you look at it like that, you can see that it's really going to blend in. Once that's got some paint on it, we'll have no problem at all. And really, and that's it, it's going round. So what we're going to do now is just continue, going to do the other side, fix that, and then what we're going to have a go at is trying to make this all together, which will be a lot of fun. Okay, so we should be okay now. But the top one, as I said, got to do this side as well. Just going to pop round. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a step on there. So we're going to take care of that one. And as I said, these dots on here is where we've got to replace all these little areas on here because I've sanded them off. Okay. So this one here was quite easy, you had no real towers around it. To be honest, this one here, we had lots of little towers around it, and they took a bit of a battering when we were cleaning it up and everything else like that. So I'm going to get both of these sorted out, put together, everything else like that, and then what we'll do, we'll come back for doing a little bit of detailing and everything else, but we are starting to take shape. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add all that little details that unfortunately we've lost during sanding and things. So looking down here, we spoke about it before, I've put little dots in so I know where exactly they are. Some of the other ones further on the model, we can see where they are, where they've chipped off, so we can sand and replace. But here, we wanted to take care of them properly and make sure they're all in. So just down out of sight, I think, when I push them up, you can see these at the bottom of your screen. Okay, these are literally, all it is, 1mm plasticard. To be honest, probably be better to use 0.5, but I've only got 1mm plasticard here. So it's pretty easy fix. We'll glue them on and we can sand them down. So, usual thing, drop a super glue, which will pop just down on here. Okay, got a cocktail stick. And then all we're going to do, we'll start up this one up here, is just put down a tiny bit of just looking for the right shape, a bit of super glue. Okay, and then what we're going to do is just drop this little guy on. Okay, then we can position him in properly where he's supposed to be with the cocktail stick. And a little nudge. Now, don't worry too much about the sizing and everything else like that, because we can sand them down and you can trim and chop as you go. Okay, so I've got some bigger ones and some smaller ones for various sizes as they are around here. So there we've got quite a large one, this one's going to be quite a small one, and then again just going to give them a little nudge just to hold them down in place. And all you're going to do is just carry it all around like this and just replace all the ones. Now I can still roughly remember, say big dots I put down is because it's a big panel or a big square, and then obviously if it's a little dot it's a little square. Okay, which is quite an easy system to remember as you're popping these down. It does seem to be that all the squares face forward, or 90 degrees shall we say, to the actual model itself. So if you have the center line and then just work them all, they all seem to follow that line. It's not like they're on the skew and they go off and are different shapes and things like that. They are definitely all facing the same direction. So just pop a little bit more down here.
came up quite a small one here. So as you say, you can just give them a nudge to put them into position. Bit of a push down. Drop more super glue needed. Okay. And it's just a case of going around and replacing all these ones that we've lost for various reasons, i.e. we've lost them through sanding them off or they've been knocked off. But what I wanted to do is keep the authenticity of exactly which one was where and everything else by putting them exactly back where they came off. So a drop there, a drop there, one large, one there, smallish one here. Just got two more little ones here, so we've got one down there and one there. This one's quite a square one. Okay. And it's quite therapeutic, I must admit, zipping around here, popping all these little guys back on. Okay, but the big thing is you notice they're very raised, so we'll let them dry a minute and I'll show you what we actually do. So looking around the rest of the model, as we can see here, we've got one that's chipped off. So because he's chipped off, there's no point trying to you know, mess around with it. So what we're going to do is just literally sand this down, make it flush. Okay, and then we're going to replace it with one that we've got. So just give that one a little drop. And again, this will be a tiny bit too big, but as you'll see, we will trim and chop them all back in to the correct areas. But once they've been knocked off, it's quite easy to go around and find them. And to be honest, I've already done it on the underside, as you can see here. Okay, so we've got these ones down here. I've got to replace one. I've got to put steel down in there. Okay, but over here you can see them done and dotted around. You can see some little ones all over the place. The other thing as well, as you can probably see down here, this tip got completely sheared off. Okay, again, 1mm plastic card put on and then I sanded it in. Same down here at the back. It was all cracked and distorted, and it was easier to sort of cut it square, cut it 90 degrees, okay, and replace it again with a little bit of plastic card just down there like that. But hopefully, as you can see, you can hardly notice those joins now down there. These are almost totally invisible, which is to say is the nice thing about using resin, because you don't have the problems associated with sanding and scribing when you're using super glue, so it's very hard and you can't get in there. So once you've got those in, normally you'd let this dry a little bit longer. Okay, got a medium sanding stick, and then all we do is place it down and sand them down to the right height, and obviously these have to go down quite low. So if we just do these ones right here, so you can sand them down, and here's the nice thing, because they're so raised, they're very easy to sand down. You can take them down to the right desired height. Okay, then when you've got them down there, what I've been doing is, as I've lost my blade, okay, once they're down like this, taking a flat blade, okay, straight razor, and then you can actually trim them up. So this one's a little bit big, so I'm just gonna trim him up just a little bit, and perhaps with this guy as well. And this is the beauty about it, you see. So this one we're going to take, let's say, quite a little bit out of him like this, a bit more on this side. Okay, and there they are, squared up, a lot lower, obviously quarter of the height as they were before, and that's it. And that's what I've been doing, and I've done this side already, so we've put these in, sanded them down, perhaps need to go down a little bit more. Okay, the other thing as well, certainly down this area here, it just seems to be this particular line is more softly molded. It's very sharp at the front, but these ones down the back end seem to be a little bit faded. Really easy, as I said. I think the scaling for all these grooves in here is a Tamiya P cutter, because it's very easy just to grab the P cutter like this, and as I say, to just sharpen all of these guys up. And I must admit, I've been around all this all once already, just to make them a bit nicer. You literally just drop the P cutter in the grooves and just carry on tracking exactly what you had down here. Okay, we'll pop this one back in, just like this. And you don't really, although you should do, need a guide because they are that nice and crisp still, even after all these years, that you can just pop in and sharpen up. But this particular area for me, they were very softly moulded to the point where they were like half the depth and definitely not as crisp as the ones over here. So instead, popping around the pea cutter, it's like a half-hour job to sharpen it all up, really does make the difference. So what I'm going to do, I'll get these sanded down, flush down everything else like that, the ones at the front, checking around to make sure you've got no other damage anywhere, as I say, adding and we're taking away as is needed with all of this, okay, and then what we can actually do then is do our first test fit of exactly what we've got. Then we can actually then marry these two up and hopefully we'll have some sort of semblance of exactly what we can do and what we can get on with next. Okay, right, we're not going to lie here, we've got real problems putting this one together. The big issue is that the warpage, which we keep bringing up on here, is becoming a real problem. Before I was thinking, oh, it's just a few small bits, we can bend, we can straighten them out and everything else like that. The trouble with that is, because we've got the scale of what this is and it's so big, some of these little warps and twists, which is what we're finding now the main problem with, is playing havoc because nothing at all is lining up. And obviously the biggest problem we've got is that we want it to be a nice tight seal, so when we come with the top half to the bottom half, the star destroyer, it's going to sandwich down together and we're going to have no light bleed around it because obviously we've got a lot of lighting in this, and the worst thing that can happen to us at that point is that all of a sudden you've got light showing through absolutely everywhere. So that's why we need to resin up the inside. But all of that said, we've tried to do test fitting and I did it a little bit earlier on and I did record it, but it went completely wrong, so this is sort of version 2. But what I actually did was tack the lower halves, these are the rails that fit in the inside, okay, with all the turrets in and the sensors, okay, very much a detailed part. You put them in, they just didn't look right, okay, they just weren't sitting correctly, and no matter how you jiggled it, nothing seemed to work. Now, you may be able to see we have got grooves running down here, and take notice of these, I'll explain these in a minute, but we've got a groove running down the outside, okay, and there isn't one on the top side. So I'm assuming this groove originally went with the groove which is on the top side. Now I've stuck these down on here, as you'll see in a moment, but you might be able to see we've got these grooves running down here. I thought they went in there. No, they don't. They go behind it. So is this because it's so far, it's warped, it's nowhere near it, or should they be in those grooves? Personally, I think they should be in those grooves because it looks like that's the way it went together on the original. But certainly from a point of view of getting both halves in and trying to marry them up, it just doesn't go at all. So what I've done, I've put them on the top half because there's a wider groove up there. It's almost like it sets in, and hopefully you can see we've got them now all the way down, and yes, we've got some massive gaps we're going to have to take care of. Like here, this is from the original join, okay, from the model it had a join there and had another one a bit further up, but generally, as you can see, all this is working, but we have got some issues. Like here, it's because it's warped, and I can physically, as you can see, squeeze it and put it together, okay, which again is a warpage issue, so we're going to have to deal with that. And on the other side, running on, it's not too bad, okay, to be honest, this is the better side out of the two, okay, but again, we have a very large warp issue back here. Now this isn't even a warp issue, this is just an issue where it just doesn't fit full stop. And what some of this is, if we flip it around, perhaps if we come to this camera, you can see here we've got this locating tab. These tabs, just do not trust them, okay? Personally, I'd like to cut them all off and start again, because certainly these ones on the nose here, you see we've got a big gap. I've done it my own way at the front. I've just shaped them and made them better fit to get them in, and that is the trouble when you're dealing with resin, because no two things are the same. You can have real problems. At the end of the day as well, what we've done here on the top here, we've put this bridge plate, this forward section, the upper area up here in, all ready to be pulled up, because it needs to be pulled up, which will get rid of that gap. And then under here we're going to have to come in with some plastic card and reinforce it all down here, but we can put this one in now because certainly we can deal with it. But what we're trying to do is, by putting all of these in, it's going to pull it all square and we'll all be good to go again. But as I said, it's a long old process, and certainly I spent all day yesterday playing with it, and I must admit I did record it because I thought I had it down pat until we tried to put it together and it was nowhere near it. Now, at the same time, you can see we've taken these massive chunks out of these everywhere.
basically, my Dremel has decided to pack up on me, so I've had to do it by hand, and sawing it probably isn't the best way because obviously you don't want to crack anything. But certainly going around and putting these gaps in, what that's going to allow is the light to come through. So from the other side, what we can actually do is back here, we're going to stage the LED strip. He says looking for it. Here it is. Okay, so we have our LED strip. Let me just unplug that. This is just a short section. So the idea is what's going to happen is it's going to run on the inside like this. Okay, so it's going to be all the way along. All right, and it's going to be in there. So it's focusing its light to the outside. Now the idea is it's going to run along. It's then going to go to the rear. It's going to go an entire circuit round the front. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one where it's going to come round off of this, all on the same track, remember. It's going to come around and it's going to go around the bay. Now, again, you look online, to be honest, and lots of references, and some guys have done some stunning builds of this one and the Randy Cooper one especially, which seems to be a fantastic kit. And they've done great jobs. The only thing is, they've used things like blue LED lighting. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's more mood, and certainly I think it actually looks a little bit better. But I'm trying to keep it original, and that tends to be yellow. So what we're going to actually do is actually going to paint over with clears these LEDs just to sort of, you know, give them a different hue. Or even if you want to, if you weren't happy about painting over LEDs, you could put a piece of clear plastic card in front and then obviously stain it so you get that tinted window effect, which is something, to be honest, we're going to do around here to diffuse the light a little bit, to give it a little bit more, because certainly this moon pool section, as you can see here, when that fits in, we need to make little slits just down in here which are going to light it up so it looks like it's got lights that are shining in here. Very much a focal point, because obviously it's a big role in the film, everybody looks under there. From our point, I'm going to be suspending this from a ceiling from a day-to-day point of view. Everyone's going to look at the underside anyway. So we need to do that. So by opening up these slits, which technically were the reinforcement points, which I don't think actually do anything whatsoever because they are so far out of alignment now, it doesn't matter. What we're going to actually use is these side sections that we showed a minute ago. They will become our walls for actually how it's going to sit and everything else, because by the time we've got in here and we've put in the metal tubing work and everything else, it's going to give us the strength and everything else that we sort of had. These were originally, I think, envisaged that they did, that they gave you the strength around the outside, then you pop those in and away you went. But certainly I think from now, I don't think they're actually doing anything proper. The only bit that seems to be working really, really well is this end piece, because when you pop this in and you lock this little guy in, it's absolutely fantastic because it gives you the perfect angle you need, and it does seem to be the only bit that's not warped. But again, looking at this one, what I'm going to do is, originally I was looking at some very, very fancy LED sets that gave flickering and different types of thing. To be true to the original, because this is an original kit, I'm going to do exactly the same as the other one was, and that had blue bulbs in the back end, and that was it, okay? And then obviously visual effects were fitted and done to it, and in post-production that's when you get all the shimmers and stuff like that. But from my point of view, when you look at the originals, you can see them when it's not powered on, that they are just bulbs sat in the engines. And don't forget, we have got to make something a little bit different for the center engine, because that's going to be a plug-in system, so it will literally just pull out to put the pole in it, or you can then obviously pull the wire with it, click it in, push it back in, and you have your lit engine. So we have got to play with that. But certainly don't think I've abandoned you all doing this one. It's just that I spent all day Friday working on it, and we were just playing with alignments and trying to get things back in jig. Spent all day yesterday, or half a day yesterday on Monday, really pushing on with this one to try and get it you know, to a point where I could show you, and that's when it went completely wrong, because by the time I got to the afternoon and I tried to sandwich it together, it certainly wasn't going to have it. So I had to pull all this out. Another little technique, remember, if you're using super glue, use it very sparingly just to start with and tack in place. When it goes wrong like this, what you can actually do is give it a bit of a flick, crack it, and then you can pull it off, and it does come off in one, and away you go. But certainly from our point of view, when you look at it like this one, we've got this area here we need to take care of, which is something we're going to do. But as you can hear, it's cracking. It's where my temporary tacking is. What that is, you might be able to see it. We just switch cameras over to this one. We've got this little tab just down here. What we're going to need to do is actually get this off, reposition it, and as you can see, I've already got that to crack off already, which is quite handy. All right, so what we can actually do, let's just try my flick technique. There we go. So it shows the flick technique does work. So it's pulled off now. I'm not going to pull off the entire back bit. So it's come off anyway. So actually what we can do now is take that one down, sand that down. That'll give us the depth we require. And then this little guy can sit in there and give us exactly what we want. So I'm going to crack on with that. And join me again in a minute when I've got even more resin dust absolutely everywhere, trying to sand and fill and get this all into shape.